Today we shall discuss a very important subject: time management in the examination hall. This is something without which all is lost. You may be a good student. You may have prepared systematically. You may have worked very hard. You may be familiar, thoroughly familiar with your entire syllabus. You may deserve extremely high marks. But if your time management in the examination hall is defective, the results will be disastrous. Today, we shall discuss a 10-point strategy to achieve effective time management in the examination hall. Point number one: begin the management outside the hall. Time management in the examination hall has to begin outside it. You have to make yourself thoroughly familiar, closely familiar with your question paper pattern as part of your preparation. You must know how many questions will be there in your question paper. You must know into how many sections is your question paper organized. This can be done by working out as many previous year's question papers as possible, by working out as many sample question papers as possible. There is another way in which time management in the examination room has to begin outside it. You must make sure that you reach your examination center sufficiently early, at least half an hour before reporting time. There is no point in becoming tensed at the beginning of an examination. And if you are writing a competitive examination and the center is not in your hometown and you are not familiar with the location of the center, I would advise you to go there the previous day to check the location, to locate the center, so that you don't have to search for the center on the day of your examination. Point number two: wear your watch. Take your equipment. If you don't have your watch with you, you cannot carry out time management. So make sure that you take your watch with you. For important examinations, I used to wear two watches because I believed in Murphy's first law. Murphy's first law is anything that can go wrong will go wrong. My classmates used to think that I was eccentric. I would rather be an eccentric who gets good marks than a very normal person who gets not so good marks. Similarly, you have to make sure that you take all your equipment with you: pens, pencils, instrument box. As an invigilator, I've seen students sharpening their pencils in the examination hall. I think this is hilariously stupid. You must bestow meticulous attention On these matters, I used to take a writing board to the examination hall for every examination from my first standard examination onwards. Again, I was looked upon as eccentric. Perhaps I am. Point number 3. Fill the face sheet carefully. Your face sheet is what makes your answer paper your answer paper. So fill it meticulously. Ensure that no error takes place in the process of filling the face sheet. Similarly, number your pages as you go along. Pagination can avoid last minute confusion. When you want an additional sheet, ask for it a few minutes in advance. Your invigilator may take some time to come to you and hand over the additional sheet. Sometimes she may keep you waiting, and thus you may waste your time. You should ask for an additional sheet a few minutes before you actually need it. Point number 4. Make good use of reading time. In some examinations, there is formal reading time. In the University of Kerala, for example, we don't have formal reading time. In that case, you have to allot reading time to yourself, and you have to make extremely good use of that reading time. Read the question paper carefully twice. The second time with your pen or your pencil in your hand so that you can indicate on the question paper the questions you are going to attempt. Every question paper is bound to have choices, and you have to decide which choice you are going to select. Apply the mark minute equation. This is very, very important. This is the most important thing I tell you today. You must know the mark minute equation and apply it ruthlessly. The mark minute equation tells you how many minutes you can spare for every mark in your question paper. Let us assume that your examination is a 3-hour examination, which means that you can take 180 minutes to write the examination. Every hour has 60 minutes. 60 into 3 is 180. So you can take a maximum of 180 minutes to write your examination. You have to reduce 30 minutes from that. This is for reading time. This is for any eventuality. This is for dealing with any unexpected problem. This is for looking through your answer paper after writing your examination. So, you reduce 30 minutes from 180 minutes. 180 minus 30 is 150. So you have effectively only 150 minutes to write your examination. Let us assume that your question paper is a 100-mark question paper. So you have 150 minutes to answer questions worth 100 marks. For 100 marks, 150 minutes. Now you have to find out how much time you can afford to spare for 1 mark. 150 divided by 100, that is 1.5 minutes. For every mark in your question paper, you can afford to spend 1.5 minutes. From this, it follows that for a 5-mark question, you can afford to spend 5 into 1.5, that is 7.5 minutes. If it is a 10-mark question, you can afford to spend 10 into 1.5, that is 15 minutes. If it is a 20-mark question, you can afford to spend 20 into 1.5, that is 30 minutes. You have to apply this equation ruthlessly. If it is a 10-mark question, for example, and you have reached the 15-minute limit, you must immediately stop writing it and move to the next question. You can leave some space there to complete the answer once you have completed the entire question paper. Please remember that we have set aside half an hour, we have set aside 30 minutes for reading time, for meeting any unexpected problem, and for looking through the answer paper after writing it and completing whatever is incomplete. The ruthless application of the mark minute equation is the single most important condition to be fulfilled in order to attain effective time management in the examination hall. Point number 6. Let your first impression be your best impression. This is very important because there is a great truth that answer papers are valued more on the basis of impressions rather than on the basis of detailed evaluations. You should attempt that question first which you are most confident of answering, and you must attempt that question last which you are least confident of answering. This way, you allow your subconscious mind to work on those questions which you find difficult. It can happen that you don't know the answer to a particular question at the point of time when the examination begins, but you know the answer to that same question by the time the examination draws to a close. This is because you have harnessed the powers of your subconscious mind, and your subconscious mind has found an answer to that question which had baffled you to begin with. If you are a good student, I would advise you to attempt the annotation questions first. If you can write 5 annotations, if you can annotate 5 passages drawn from various parts of the syllabus and do it brilliantly, you certainly create an excellent impression on your examiner, and he gets carried away, and you get a tremendous advantage when he evaluates the rest of your answer paper. If you are a not so good student, I would not advise you to attempt the annotation questions first. This is because if you write three good annotations and two bad annotations, you spoil the impression that your examiner has of you after reading the good annotation answers. Instead, I would advise you to start with the essay and thus create a good impression in the mind of your examiner. Point number 7. Start writing at top speed. There are students who take a lot of time to answer the early questions. They end up having not enough time to answer the final questions. They usually rush through the final questions. And sometimes they don't even attempt the last questions. This is simply suicidal. You must start writing at top speed and ensure that approximately the same kind of attention is given to every single question in your question paper. Point number 8. Be blind and deaf to your surroundings. The examination room has to be a very calm place. It has to be an absolutely silent place. But frequently it is not so, especially in India. It is your responsibility to ignore your surroundings. The invigilator may be shouting at some candidate. Some candidate may be distracted. Some candidate may be trying to contact some other candidate. All this is none of your concern. Your only concern is how best you can perform in your examination. So, ignore your surroundings completely. Point number 9. Utilize every minute. You must make use of every single minute of examination time, including the last minute. I have seen students rushing out of the examination hall before time is up because they want to catch a particular bus, and because if they miss that particular bus, they may have to catch a bus which is crowded. Well, I think that your examination is certainly more important to you than your travel convenience. At least that is how it should be if you are an earnest student. Point number 10. Avoid bio breaks. You should not drink much water before the commencement of an examination. In fact, I would advise you to drink as little water, as little liquid as possible. You must avoid bio breaks completely. Sometimes I see students calmly sipping ice cold water from their water bottles during examination time. Can't they find a better place to enjoy ice cold water than the examination room? I think it's absurd. Examination time is for writing answers. is for taking examinations, not for sipping ice cold water calmly from water bottles. Good luck to you.